Hi, my name's Emma. I'm the media lead at Creation Fest. If you've been to the festival before, you might have seen me hosting the main stages in the morning, but today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life story. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I didn't become a Christian until I was a teenager. When I was about 12 or 13, one of my friends invited me to her youth group, and that weekend they were signing up to go away. And I went on this weekend with them, and that was where I heard for the first time about a person they called Jesus and about what it meant to have a relationship with him. I became a Christian. I went home, I told my parents. They thought I'd gone, quite frankly, slightly crazy. I had a normal-ish type of upbringing. My dad was a builder, had quite a successful business. He was also not quite so normal in that he was a world champion powerlifter. But what we didn't know was that he'd also become addicted to steroids and later cocaine, and probably about 6 months after I became a Christian, our whole world really imploded. He also worked as a nightclub bouncer, and he'd started having an affair with a barmaid at the club where he worked. And one day, I came home from school and he didn't come home at all. We moved house a couple of weeks after that without him, and over the next 5 or so years, he came and went, well, more times than any of us can actually remember now looking back on it. It was a strange and complicated time, but the new family that I'd found at my church really rallied round us. They prayed for us all the time, they dropped meals off on our doorstep, they looked after me and my mum, who was still really confused and slightly sceptical about this newfound faith that I had. And to cut a really, really long story short, on the same night, in around March, I think it was, 1993, both of my parents also gave their lives to Jesus. My mum was at home in her bedroom on her own, and my dad was in the car park of Spitalfields Fruit and Veg Market, where he was by this time working as an illegal debt collector, chasing money for a living, living in a bedsit, and we hadn't seen him for months. So to say that it was a kind of miraculous thing that happened to them would probably be understating it, but that started a 6-month journey that eventually ended up in them having their wedding vows blessed at my little church on their wedding anniversary that year. It was the August before I went to university, and a few months after that I sat on the floor of my room in halls where the girl who had the room next to me asked me, did I think it was really weird that I'd become a Christian and then my whole life had totally imploded? And I thought about it, and I came to the decision that no, I didn't think it was. I think God knew all along what was going to happen to my family, and he put into place a rescue plan for us, just like he does every single one of us, long before any of the decisions that we made that wrecked our lives. I know that not everybody's family stories end like mine do, happily with everybody reunited, but I do know that God loves all of us, and that whatever you're going through, he's always with us. If you're watching this today and, like me, you don't come from a background that has any knowledge of or practice of faith, and you're wondering whether God is real, I would just encourage you to reach out to him. I was just a kid on my own. I didn't know anything about faith. I didn't have anyone to teach me about it, but if I learnt one thing during my teenage years, it's that God never lets you down. Even when things around you look confusing and sad and upsetting, even when prayers aren't answered straight away or you're struggling, God is real and he's there, and he'll never leave you on your own.